And we live. What is up, Undroppables Nation? I'm your host, Josh Lee. You can find me on Twitter at Joshua J. Hyun. And this is episode 4 of A Best Ball Draft a Day Keeps the Doctor Away. Title of the show, Puppy 3 is unlocked. I just checked, and actually I can't do a Puppy 3 draft right now. I thought they were live, but I cannot find them on the web app. So I guess we'll just do another Best Ball Mania draft. Those are always fun. So let me go ahead and share my screen. Bum, ba-dum, bum, bum. Okay, let's see. There we go. There we go. Best Ball Mania draft. We will enter it. $25. Yes. Not right now. Okay. Oh, we're waiting for one person. Okay, sweet. We are going to jump straight into it. So we're going to do the same thing that we've done in the past. Actually, let me pull this to the side. Open this bitch up. Oops. My girlfriend told me to stop swearing on this, so I'm going to try my best to not swear as much as I have. So sorry for those that I've offended. But, okay, let's see. We're in the 5 spot. Okay, 5 is actually an incredible spot. I'm going to get one of JT, CMC, Cooper Kupp, Justin Jefferson, or Jamar Chase. I mean, those are the top 5 guys. Consensus top 5 in these best ball streets. So if we get one of the receivers, I've actually, over the past few days, if you guys don't already follow Chalk, go ahead and give at 101 Chalk the follow. He posted a thread on anti-fragility for fantasy football. I mean, the way that we're maximizing the upside and the value in these drafts is to avoid players who get hurt. And that's typically like these high caliber, high value players that you're going to be taking in your first few rounds. And what's the most fragile position? That's going to be the running back position. So I've actually kind of bought into this idea of fading running back a little bit. I talked about this a little bit last time and going 0 RB, but fading the running back position just a bit so that we can take these wide receivers and tight ends early and then just hit on the running backs in the rounds 5 through 10. It's funny because there's a lot of conflicting opinions on Twitter. There's the idea of 0 running back anti-fragility that Chalk brings up. I'm going to test that in today's draft. And then there's also the idea, all right, we're going to grab Jamar Chase here. There's also the idea of just going a ton of running backs early, which I have typically done in the past. I think this year is actually shaping up a little bit differently than years past. And that's because in years past, you can't find workhorse running backs in your later rounds. They typically go pretty early in drafts. So in order to have your running back position sorted out, you're going to need to take those running backs as early as possible. And that's going to lead. Sorry, let me focus on this real quick. That's going to lead us to like once you get past like round 6, it's almost in past years, it was almost impossible to find a starting running back. Whereas there's guys like J.K. Dobbins, Antonio Gibson, Elijah Mitchell, those guys falling very, very far. Josh Jacobs, David Montgomery. Those guys have never been those types of guys have never been available in years past. So I like the idea of just hammering the wide receiver and tight end positions, those spike week players early in these drafts. Jamar Chase being an incredible spike week player. I mean, we saw him in week 16 last year put up 50 points format. In full PPR, he put up 55 points. You win your week. I don't care who you have in your other positions. You have Jamar Chase on your team that week, you win your week. So that's why I analyzed a bunch of the Best Ball Mania, or I guess all of the underdog Best Ball tournament teams that ended up winning a lot of money by being top 5. And a good deal of them, I think, I want to say 14 out of the 25 top 5 teams in each of the 5 tournaments had Jamar Chase on their team. And it's funny because on 17 of the 25 teams, they had Amon-Ra St. Brown. So it kind of goes to show if you hit on one player, you make the playoffs, you win a lot of money. I mean, Amon-Ra St. Brown was the number one player in fantasy football between weeks 15 through 17 last year. He outscored all of the quarterbacks, which, in my opinion, is pretty incredible. So there's some lessons there. We want to be drafting those guys who can just see the insane spike weeks. Jamar Chase is obviously that type of player. Again, obviously, it's going to be rare to find types of players in the middle rounds, but that's where you could have found Jamar Chase last year. He was going as like a consensus like 4th or 5th round pick. I'm hoping that that type of player is going to be available again this year in Breece Hall. So I'm hoping to target Breece Hall in this draft in the 4th or 5th round. We'll see if he'll be available there. My computer's being really, really slow right now. I can barely see what's going on in my draft screen. I'm going to have the draft open up on my phone just in case because I'm seeing like a lot of lag on the stream. It's not being super smooth on my web app as well. This was happening a little bit yesterday on my live podcast, but it ended up like Perlman and Kaiser saying that it wasn't showing up on their end. So maybe it's just a problem with my computer. So in any case, I will just continue doing what I'm doing. Who's at the top? All right, Mark Andrews still there. Lenny, 17th overall. Okay. How many? 2 picks away. Okay. Yeah, we're going to stick to our strategy. Fade running back in the early rounds. Our RB1 is going to be either Travis Etienne or Breece Hall in rounds 4. Yeah, round 4 is when we'll take our first one. We're going to hope. Okay, this is interesting here. We'll see who falls to us. Okay, DeAndre Swift. I assume Aaron Jones or Saquon's going to go here. Who's going to be taken? Come on. I do like Debo. Where's Debo on my list? Oh, yeah. Okay. Debo's the highest on our list. Debo falls to us. We're taking Debo. There's so much noise out there right now about Debo Samuel. All right, Saquon. Give me Debo Samuel. My opinion, there's just so much noise out there on Debo Samuel. People saying like, oh, Debo Samuel, why would you want him? He's been hurt in years past. He's holding out right now. He wants to be traded. We don't know what position he's going to play. It doesn't matter what position he's going to play. That dude is just a baller. He's going to go out there and do his thing. He's going to score touchdowns. He's going to tackles. He's going to get yards. I don't care. There's a reason that the Niners are very adamant that they won't be trading him. That's because he's just a really good football player. I have full faith in Debo Samuel. I had full faith in Debo Samuel last year as well. I thought it was absolutely incredible that he was – I drafted him like the 9th round of 2 dynasty startups last year. I was going to take him there every single time. It was just absurd to me that he was falling that far. But okay, I digress. Let's get back to the draft. We're up in 3 picks, and we have the pick of the litter here. I think if Mark Andrews falls to us in the 3rd, I think we're going to be forced to take him. If Mark Andrews doesn't fall, we have quite an interesting story on our hands. We have kind of the pick of the litter out of the receivers, and I'm just going to continue hammer wide receiver at this position. Like I said, Mark Andrews falls. He's the highest on our board. We're going to take him. T. Higgins isn't there. Or Mark Andrews just went. So who's the highest out of these guys? Dave Montgomery, Godwin, Diggs, Chubb, Swift, Jacobs, Mike Williams. Okay. We are going to take Mike Williams if he falls to us. I am a big fan of Mike Williams this year. I think this might finally be the year that he overtakes Keenan Allen as that like clear number 1 guy. I mean, he started to show up near the end of the season. Yeah, give me Big Mike. Projected 133. Get out of here. Okay. I am a big fan of my start. I mean, let's look at my receivers. Oh my God. That is pure sex. Holy shit. Jamar Chase, Debo Samuel, Mike Williams, all guys that can single-handedly win a week for you. I mean, I really like Keenan Allen. I love Keenan Allen. Don't get me wrong. That dude is just insanely consistent. He puts up insane numbers every single time he goes out there. But I love Mike Williams, just spike week capability. He gets those 40-yard catches. Keenan Allen just gets like the 10 to 15 yards. He maybe gets like, he's very consistent where he gets like 7 catches for 100 yards pretty consistently. Maybe adds a touchdown here and there. Mike Williams, he's the guy that can see like 5 for 125 and 2. And that's the type of guy we want in best ball. So I'm also targeting, I've talked about this a lot, those week 17 matchups. Cincinnati, week 17, plays Buffalo. That should be a shootout. San Francisco plays Las Vegas. Another shootout in a dome. I really like that. So Cincinnati Buffalo is going to be in Cincinnati in the cold in January, which I don't love as much, but I'm still optimistic on the actual matchup between Josh Allen and Joe Burrow. So I like it. And then Mike Williams plays, the Chargers play the Rams week 17, again, in a dome. All of those games, if you don't follow Hayden Winks, go ahead and give him a follow. He has great articles on week 17 correlation on spike weeks, and those games are just games that I want to be targeting heavily. This is probably my most stacked receiver room that I've had out of any Best Ball Mania draft, so I am super stoked. We're 9 picks away. We just got to pray that Breece Hall falls to us because that's the whole point of this plan. If Breece Hall doesn't fall to us, we're going to shed a tear and draft Darren Waller. But yeah, Ezekiel Elliott. Okay, this does not bode well since Breece Hall is now the top running back on the board. If this continues to fall this way, actually, if Kyle Pitts falls to us, that would be absolutely absurd, and I would have to definitely take him. But we're praying that Breece Hall falls to us. If he doesn't, I like also taking Darren Waller. Maybe we could also take like Justin Herbert here and then take George Kittle in the next round. We have a little bit of room to play with here. We'll just see how the room falls to us. Okay. Patrick Mahomes. Okay. So Herbert is going to continue to slide a little bit. If Herbert falls to us, I think, well, obviously Breece is the number one option here. My second choice is actually, this is tough. If Kyle Pitts is there, I think I have to take him every time. Kyle Pitts sliding all the way to round 4, all the way to the back end of round 4 is insane. And then I would just have to pray that Breece falls to the 5th. All right, Kyle Pitts goes. So that's unfortunate, but it's what I expected. So we're now 3 picks away. Joe Burrow just got taken. That's a little bit of a reach on Joe Burrow. I guess that's just his guy. Herbert got taken. Okay, we're having a bit of a QB run. So I think in the next round, I'm kind of going to be forced to take quarterback. This would be all for naught if Breece Hall goes here. Like, I would be so disappointed. But the 2 guys in front of us both have running backs already. So I think we are going to get our guy. We're going to be able to get Breece Hall here in the 4th round, which would be kind of beautiful. And everything's going to be working exactly as we planned. It's a little bit concerning that the quarterbacks are already going. 2 of our spike week guys have already gone, Burrow and Herbert. So we're going to really need to focus on getting Trey Lance because that's our last spike week correlation quarterback receiver grouping right there. So I think my plan right now is take Breece Hall here. And then once it comes around, take George Kittle. And then in round 6 or 7, target Trey Lance. It looks like quarterbacks are going a little bit earlier than in typical drafts. So, all right, the plan has worked. We've gotten Breece Hall. Okay. It's looking good right now. We got to hope that George Kittle falls to us in the next round. I saw a tweet earlier saying like Irv Smith and can't remember who else they listed. Irv Smith is going to outscore George Kittle this year. Let that sink in. Like, what? Irv Smith scoring more than George Kittle? What you smoking, boy? George Kittle is going to go back to his absolute dominance. I've talked about George Kittle so much on this show, and I'm going to continue talking about George Kittle because that dude is an absolute beast. He's probably the pure tight end in the league. This dude just like does everything. He's basically another offensive lineman out there, and then also probably the second best yards after the catch tight end in the entire league. Once he gets the ball, nobody's going to bring that boy down. I mean, I really hope I can get George Kittle here. It's looking like I might be able to based off the way the room is falling. Gabriel Davis. Expect Deontay to go. No. All right. We're talking to Darren Waller if he falls because Darren Waller is on the opposite side of that game, which those are good players to target. Deontay Johnson's also slipping really far. Darren Waller's gonna be my pick if he's there. One of my commandments for best ball, you got to get elite tight end. You got to. Darren Waller. He has slitted. Okay. I love my team. This team is so beastly already. Oh my God. Like, look at that. Look at that team. That's a beauty. We got the week 17 correlation. It's actually my like sleeper game for being like one of the best games on the entire slate. San Francisco versus Las Vegas in the Dome. Las Vegas should have just a super high-powered team this year. They got Derek Carr. They got Josh Jacobs. They got Kenyon Drake. They got Zamir White. They got Darren Waller. They got Devontae Adams. They got Hunter Renfrow. They just got an absolutely stacked offense. Josh McDaniels just went over there. He should instill a pretty good offense. People hate on Josh McDaniels a little bit because the last time he went to be a head coach, he didn't really do that well. I mean, the last time he went to be a head coach, he was the coach of the Denver Broncos, and his quarterback was Tim Tebow. I mean, he's not really given much to work with in terms of arm talent. Derek Carr, super underrated quarterback. I'm hoping I can get him in this draft. I want to get both Trey Lance and Derek Carr. They should both be, one of them should do real well week 17. If this team makes it that far, I like its chances. So, okay, we're not going to be targeting any quarterback in this next round. We're probably going to go wide receiver. Or sorry, not wide receiver. We already have our stack 3. I want to go running back. Let's just finish out our running back room. We can just continue stacking that game. Actually, if J.K. Dobbins falls, I will continue to buy the news on J.K. Dobbins being, he's not going to be ready for week 1. There's never been a running back in the past that tears his ACL in the preseason and then doesn't make it to week 1 or week 2, week 3, like very early on in the season. So I think J.K. Dobbins is going to get a ton of work very early in the year. Gus Edwards is also coming off a torn ACL. Josh Jacobs. Yeah, like these running backs, I think we're falling a little bit too far. I also really like A.J. Dillon down here. Fuck. Okay. I think if J.K. Dobbins is taken, we target A.J. Dillon just because we have a lot of correlation already. Elijah Mitchell's really good, though. We'll see who falls. Okay, Elijah Mitchell just went. We're taking J.K. Dobbins or A.J. Dillon. If they both get taken, we're going to have to shift gears. And, a running back run is going. Fuck. What's going to happen here? All right, this is like the money rounds. This is where drafts are won or lost. This is where we really got to focus. So we have solid correlation already. We know the quarterbacks which we're going to be targeting. What's Trey Lance's ADP right now? It's 80. Okay. We'll be able to target him in the 7th. The value here is too good to reach on Trey Lance. Don't reach on guys. That's you're losing so much value if you reach on guys. You got to let the room fall to you. Got to be very nimble in these best ball streets. A.J. Dillon is the preferred pick here. I absolutely love this team if I get A.J. Dillon. I already love this team. Jalen Hurts. Give me A.J. So the reason why I love A.J. Dillon this year is the Packers just lost Devontae Adams. They just lost Devontae Adams, and he takes away like 32% target share in that room. I mean, we're backfilling him with Christian Watson. Who else they got over there? Randall Cobb, Sammy Watkins. Not a whole lot of talent you're working with, to be honest. So because of that, I think they're just going to run the ball a ton. They have one of the best defenses in the league, if not the best. They have elite corners and Jair Alexander. And I can't remember the other guy's name off the top of my head. I think he was a rookie last year, and he just absolutely crushed it. So not remember his name off the top of my head, but he's also an absolute dog. They have great corners, great pass rush, great linebackers. I love the team all around. And I think they're just going to transition to a team that's going to just pound the rock inside. They got a good offensive line. They have Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon. A.J. Dillon is just this 240-pound behemoth. Nobody's going to want to be tackling him. This is a really interesting pick because I do want Trey Lance, but Elijah Moore is also here. And Elijah Moore is one of my favorite players to really just like go ham this year. I think for the correlation, I got to take Trey Lance. It's going to be really unfortunate because Elijah Moore falling all the way here into the 7th round is just like prime real estate for us. And then like we could wait on like Derek Carr for our first quarterback. But I'm a big believer in taking a quarterback in the first 8 rounds. Of all of the teams that Elijah Moore just went, so it's a moot point. But of all the teams that I analyzed that had won a ton of money last year, who finished as a top 5 team in one of these underdog tournaments, they drafted a quarterback in the first 8 rounds. A lot of them drafted one in the first 5 or 6. So we're going to take Trey Lance here. It hurts to take Trey Lance over Russell Wilson just because I know Russell Wilson is just such a better player or such a better quarterback. But Trey Lance just offers that elite rushing upside that Russell Wilson doesn't necessarily offer. Trey Lance also is going to be massively correlated with Debo Samuel and Darren Waller. So I think just for the sake of this team, for the sake of the argument that we have to bet on one specific outcome in order for us to win this $2 million at the top. And that outcome looks like this San Francisco-Las Vegas game in Week 17 just being an absolute shootout. I don't know why people are fading the San Francisco offense when we've seen what it can be with Jimmy Garoppolo at quarterback. I know Jimmy Garoppolo is a great game manager. He does what he needs to do in order to move the ball, in order to find wins for this team. But I think Trey Lance he can take the ceiling off of defense. He can take the top off of defense. Like Debo Samuel is going to be running all sorts of routes. You just find what all Debo Samuel, and he just makes plays. So I'm a big fan of seeing what the Niners can do with Trey Lance at the helm. But okay, back to the draft. Ayuk. Okay, so like right here, I already have my 2 running backs. I'm going to fade the position a little bit now since I have my 2 starting guys. 4 quarterbacks just went in a row. That is great news for us because we already have our guy. And I think the next guy I'm going to be targeting, I'm going to go after. Did Michael Thomas already went, right? Yeah, he went at 708. Okay. I actually heard reports earlier today that Michael Thomas might be healthy for Week 1. That was contrary to everything that I was seeing before that. So before ADP reacts, I want to be drafting more Michael Thomas. I obviously didn't plan for that early in this draft. Ooh, Rashad Penny this early? Okay. I'm going to look to get Kenneth Walker in like the 10th round. I like the arbitrage there just because like Rashad Penny has never stayed healthy, so it's hard to believe that he's going to stay healthy this year. We'll see. We'll see how the draft room continues to fall. But I want to get Kadarius Toney. I was actually about to talk a little bit about like how I want to get either Ayuk or Toney, but Toney was actually an amazing receiver last year. He only played 3 games, but in those 3 games, he was an elite player. I don't think people realize just like the upside that Toney offers. In the 1 full game that he played, he scored 29 fantasy points, 13 for like 130 and 1, some crazy stat line. Damn, that's unfortunate. Okay, just as we were hyping him up. Okay. Give me some Treylon Burks action. Okay. I was going to take Olave, but I have a little bit of Olave, and I want to stack Olave a little bit more with Michael Thomas. I want to get some Olave, Michael Thomas, Jameis teams. So I'm going to be focusing on him in those drafts. I think what I'm going to be going for here now is for my second stack. I want to get Treylon Burks, Ryan Tannehill, Austin Hooper, maybe even sprinkle in a little bit of Robert Woods if and drop the Austin Hooper. But I think Treylon Burks is being undervalued a little bit right now. He is an elite player. We saw what he can do. I mean, last season at Arkansas, I mean, I'll still never forget the game where Arkansas played Alabama. Treylon Burks just went out there and just bullied the Alabama defenders. He put up like 160, and 2. Absolutely mossing these guys who ended up being like first, second round draft picks. So yeah, I like to bet on Treylon Burks. He's steadily fallen in ADP. I think when I was first starting these Best Ball Mania drafts back in it's July right now. I started doing these drafts back in May, maybe June. But he was being drafted ADP 70. And the fact that he's fallen all the way to ADP 95, I think we have to take advantage of that. We have to be buying this dip a little bit. People are afraid because, Treylon Burks has asthma. Treylon Burks can't stay on the field during minicamp. What? This is minicamp. If we weren't so plugged in, we would never have known about these little itty-bitty things that don't mean anything once we actually get to week 1 and they're actually on the football field. This is kind of the problem with social media and having this plethora of access to every single little tidbit of information. There's too much information for us now. And because we have so much information, we overreact to things that we didn't have access to before. I'm sure there was kind of talks of these sorts of things happening. But because we didn't have access to that information, we never could react to it. And because we could never react to it, we made smart decisions and drafted players at the right prices. All right, Ken Walker got taken. Poop. Derek Carr or Tyler Lockett? Seattle. Treylon Burks. All right, I'm going to take Derek Carr and just forget about the position now. I need to be stacking. I need to be stacking my quarterback with my tight end. So the fact that I could stack Derek Carr with Darren Waller, I mean, I love it. I'm not going to even think about the quarterback position anymore. I want to be focusing on one more tight end late. I mean, just maybe a Taysom Hill, just someone near the very end of the draft. But from now on, because I have my quarterback sorted out, I have my tight end pretty much sorted out, other than maybe a flyer in the last few rounds, I'm going to be hammering the receiver and the running back position. Okay. We've strayed a little bit from our initial strategy, but that's okay. We kind of have been reactive to the draft room, and that's what we want to be doing in these drafts. Continue to adjust as the draft continues to fall to you. I would have liked to have taken Tyler Lockett there, but that's okay. We ended up taking Derek Carr instead, and just forget about the draft room. I mean, I want to stack Darren Waller with Derek Carr. Derek Carr has an upside that hasn't been available to him in previous years. He was on track to see an MVP sort of season back in 2017, I want to say, before he broke his leg in week 13. The Raiders were 11-1, 10-2, something like that when he broke his leg. And then they didn't ended up finish the season quite as strong as they would have hoped. But back to the draft. Because we have Jamar, I'd be ecstatic if Tyler Boyd could fall to us. Would also be pretty hype if Cordero or even Garrett Wilson fell to us. I'll also touch on one other thing. Rookie wide receivers. This is the arbitrage which we're looking for. People don't like to bet on the uncertainty that come with rookie wide receivers. I don't know if you guys follow me on Twitter. If you don't, you can follow me at Joshua J. Hyun. You could also follow my podcast. I do a podcast with 2 of my buddies from college. We love to talk Dynasty Fantasy Football, and on there, we've done extensive talk of these rookies. So you can find us at Unending Rebuild on Twitter, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify podcasts. Go ahead and follow us there. But back to what I was saying, there's a lot of arbitrage with rookie wide receivers. Nobody wants to bet on these guys because there's so much uncertainty tied to them. I think I'm going to take Sky Moore or Garrett Wilson here, just because there is a non-zero chance that Sky Moore ends up being the wide receiver 1 for the Kansas City Chiefs. Okay, he just got taken. If Garrett Wilson falls, I'm going to take him instead. There is a non-zero chance also that Garrett Wilson ends up being the wide receiver 1. I am personally not a huge believer in that, but the fact that we can draft him all the way down here at wide receiver 52 is like, I'm willing to make that bet, and I will make that bet right now. Like, Garrett Wilson, he's an interesting player. He's an interesting pick. There's a reason that he got drafted 10th overall in the NFL draft. Whenever that sort of thing happens, we should take notice. I think Garrett Wilson should see at least like 750, 800 receiving yards. I think I did see a Twitter thread the other day that said, out of the 10 rookie receivers to be drafted in the top 10 over the past 10 years, only one has not gotten to the 800-yard receiving mark. And Garrett Wilson gives us no reason to believe that he won't reach that mark. I think, did Corey Davis reach that mark? Maybe it was Corey Davis as the only player, and Corey Davis hasn't reached the potential which people thought that he had. But Garrett Wilson, maybe with Zach Wilson opening up the offense, he can reach that mark. Wide receiver 52, I'll make that bet. Okay, when this falls back to us, I want to be focusing on a running back. I want to take Rachaad White at my pick. I have been a beater of the Rachaad White train, this whole hype train, this whole offseason. I've been a big fan of Rachaad White ever since I watched him play in college and I learned about him. I was saying Rachaad White RB3 in this running back class since back in like January, actually even further back than that, like November. I didn't post on Twitter back then, but you'll get to see those takes as I continue to post on Twitter throughout this offseason, next offseason, and for many years. Damn. All right, Rachaad White got taken. That's unfortunate. If Ronald Jones falls to us, I'm going to take Ronald Jones. Ronald Jones is another one of those players where it's kind of an uncertain backfield, and we want to be betting on those ambiguous backfields. In years past, Ronald Jones has been a great pure runner of the ball. He struggled in pass protection, and that's why Tom Brady didn't trust him. Okay, every guy that we're talking about just keeps getting drafted. If Tyler Boyd falls to us, then we have to take Tyler Boyd. Tyler Boyd, he is immediately penciled in for immense fantasy production if one of Jamar Chase or T. Higgins were to go down. Like, we've seen what Tyler Boyd can be in the past. The fact that he goes down here at wide receiver 51 and he goes at typical ADP 109, we have to be drafting here at pick 125. He's just a faller and someone that I trust. He might not, like last season, we saw him have a few spike weeks. So there's a pretty good chance where he will enter into our lineup. That was the 11th round. Okay, Jameson Williams has slid in ADP, so I'm hoping that he continues to slide in this draft. I know that I've only drafted 2 running backs, but I'm going to be focusing on the receiver position a little bit more. If JMO falls, I will continue to draft JMO. If he doesn't fall, so be it. I also want to be focusing on Isaiah Spiller. He's going to be matched up with Mike Williams in terms of a little bit of correlation. I know running backs don't have a ton of correlation with their receivers, but still, I expect that game to be high flying. The Chargers versus the Rams. There's also a chance I would like Derek Henderson. There's also a chance that Cam Akers, maybe he's not full go this year. We know Sean McVay trusts Cam Akers. He's going to ride the hell out of Cam Akers for as long as he can. We know that he loves to just give the ball to Cam Akers like 25 times a game. Does Cam Akers, coming off that Achilles injury, can he sustain a full workload throughout the entirety of the NFL season? Will he make it to week 17? I don't know. That's something that I actually haven't considered before this, because I've been drafting a lot of Derek Henderson, but I wasn't like, I've been kind of fading Cam Akers for that reason. It's hard to believe that Cam Akers will come back and sustain a full workload where Sean McVay gives him the ball 25 times a game. All right, as this book got taken. And him make it through the entire season, because I know that they're going to want him in the playoffs. The Rams are going to make the playoffs. So in order to keep Cam Akers healthy for the playoffs, maybe down the stretch, once they've already secured up a spot down in week 17, maybe they lean off him a little bit and they go to who? Darrell Henderson, who just got drafted. Damn it. Every time I talk about one of these guys, this is so unfortunate. Oh, and also I've switched from the Corona, and we're on a red wine kind of night. So, cheers. Okay. We have 6 receivers, 2 running backs. We are in round 12. Okay. Damn. All right. Jameson Williams just got taken. I've been drafting a ton of Jameson Williams, so I'm okay with him not being part of this team, especially with these stud wide receivers, which we already have. I'm going to focus on running back a little bit. I like Nyheim Hines here. I know Dameon Pierce is there, but I like Dameon Pierce as a player. I don't know how much I love him in terms of him producing. I guess, okay. I mean, just because like he's fallen so far, I think I would take Dameon Pierce over Nyheim Hines. Houston's backfield, very ambiguous. We don't really know what's going to be going on there. Oh, wow. Okay. But like the starter right now is going to be Marlon Mack to open the season. Marlon Mack will get the bulk of the carries week 1. Dameon Pierce got taken. Like literally, just like how there's like a kicker curse in actual football. Like every time I talk about a player, boom, sniped. So I'm not going to talk about Nyheim Hines. Oh, I said the name, then he gets drafted. What the fuck? Okay, sorry, I cursed again. Brittany, my girlfriend, said I shouldn't curse, so. I have one. Let's see. I gotta do a little calculations here. Let's see what we got. Jones Hobart was the one guy which I was thinking about. Ain't that a bitch? There's another curse word. Damn it. Oh, I don't like it. I don't like it down here. Oh, I already have Brees. Damn. All right, I hate that I'm doing this. This is so bad. So bad. I drafted Michael Carter too. I have Michael Carter on Brees Hall. I hate that. Whatever, though. I mean, I like Michael Carter as a player all the way down here at pick 140. He showed flashes last year, so maybe he's like the receiving back, and maybe in some crazy world, Brees Hall and Carter are the next Mark Ingram and Alvin Kamara. I mean, I actually liked Michael Carter as a comp to Alvin Kamara coming out of college. So, hey, I mean, this is what we're betting on. We're betting on these really, really tiny, unique scenarios that have low probabilities but have non-zero chances. That's how we win the $2 million. So let's go. Michael Carter as our RB3. Lock it in. We have both New York Jets running backs. I hate that I have both New York Jets running backs, but it's Brees Hall, absolute beast. It's Michael Carter. Showed flashes last year. I don't love the ranges that we're in right now. It's kind of funky, but the hell am I gonna do? Let's see. Jahan Dotson's another receiver that like maybe he's something. We're taking him down here in the 13th round. I don't want to reach on any of these running backs. Yeah, like reaching is just like no good. Reaching is a no in best ball. Reaching around is okay. 1 round. But if guys are falling and we're reaching instead, that's a no. We want to be taking, so I think I'm going to focus on either Mckissick or Jahan Dotson. I think I'm going to lean. Let's play the Patriots. Yeah. This is weird. Yeah, I don't want to reach on any of these running backs. I'll let the running backs fall to me. We already have 3. I don't love that Michael Carter is my second running back, but we're going to take Jahan Dotson. So kind of, I was talking about this a little bit, like there's arbitrage in taking rookie receivers because there's so much uncertainty around them. People don't love to draft that sort of uncertainty. Jahan Dodson was a first-round receiver. Like, what are we doing here? Why is he being drafted at wide receiver 62? Like, what is going on? He's getting drafted in the 13th round. That's basically free. And the fact that I can get him in the 13th round, a rookie first-round receiver drafted 16th overall. It's not like he was the back end of the first round. He actually surprised people because I saw a lot of mock drafts, and Jahan Dodson was going at like pick to the Chiefs, pick 29 to the Packers, and the Commanders draft him at 16. The rumor right now is that the Commanders wanted Jahan Dodson all along. I personally am a Washington Commanders fan, so I was a little bit unhappy with the pick just because we traded out of a pick where we could have gotten one of Kyle Hamilton, who, by the way, I think is going to be a future Hall of Famer. Putting that out there right now. Kyle Hamilton, Jameson Williams, Chris Olave, all those guys were there at our pick, and we decided to trade out. It just didn't make any sense. Like, we traded out to get like a third rounder and a fourth rounder. Like, okay, great. Like, when we could have taken those guys that are just like, who I believe are just game-changing players. That's why we're a losing franchise. That's why we don't win playoff games, let alone make the playoffs. We trade out to draft Jahan Dodson, a senior rookie wide receiver. Maybe he produces. I hope that he produces. I mean, like what I've heard out of camp so far, like he sounds like he should be a good player for us. That's why I drafted him. I think I'm good on the receiver position now. Like, I'm not going to draft any more receivers just because I focused on that position so early. But Jahan Dodson, my wide receiver 7, lock it in. Cool. I mean, first round receiver, 13th round. I'll take it. Okay, all these guys are being taken. I think I'm going to focus on either Gerald Everett or Kenneth Gainwell down here. Whoever falls. I think, yeah, because Gerald Everett offers that correlation with Mike Williams. We don't have we don't have Herbie, unfortunately. But Gerald Everett should be a really good player this year. We've seen what the Chargers tight end could do. I mean, even 37-year-old Jared Cook could produce like 800 yards and like 6 touchdowns. Gerald Everett, who was just peppered with targets in Seattle last year, should see a decent amount of work in LA. I think he's going to be a pretty good player for them. He could even be a target in the red zone. I know Mike Williams is going to be that guy still, but Gerald Everett is definitely an option. Oh, man, the running backs are just going. Okay, if Kenneth Gainwell falls to us, we have to take him. Gerald Everett as well. Those are going to be our 1 and 2. We'll see who falls to us. I'm hoping for Kenny, but if Kenny doesn't fall, Gerald is going to be the pick. A little bit more on Gerald Everett. He's actually one of the most athletic tight ends. Like, this guy he offers like 99th percentile speed, 99th percentile burst, 99th percentile agility. Like, this guy is just an insane athlete, and that's why teams like to get him the ball. That's why when he was on the Rams, Sean McVay didn't want to trade him, so he stayed with the Rams until his rookie contract was up. After his rookie contract ended, he ended up leaving to go to Seattle. Either in free agency. I think it was in free agency just because they couldn't come to a deal because the Rams decided to keep Tyler Higbee instead. Kenneth Gainwell goes. So we will draft the guy we've been talking about, Gerald Everett. I was hoping to do a little bit of reverse psychology there where I'd talk a ton about Gerald Everett and then Kenneth Gainwell falls to me. Then I would have taken Kenneth Gainwell. But unfortunately, Kenneth Gainwell still goes the pick right before us. So that's the thing about these Best Ball Mania drafts. People are sharp in these rooms. Let's see if I recognize any of these names. I don't. Okay. I might start doing some drafts in the morning just to see what the competition looks like up there, because like I just keep getting sniped in these drafts and it is not fun. But if Daryl Williams falls, that's the next guy. I think we're just going to focus on the running back position to close the draft. Jamal. But we also want to definitely be like looking at the whole room just to see what falls. JD's interesting. Raheem Mostert. Okay. We'll see how the room falls. Donta Foreman got taken. Daryl Williams hopefully falls to us on like a per touch, like per game basis. Like Daryl Williams is actually a really good player. And on my podcast, I was talking about dynasty. We were talking about dynasty buys and sells, and my number one sell at running back was James Conner. James Conner before this season was a 10th round dynasty startup pick, and he just exploded last year. People didn't think that he'd be able to return to his form in Pittsburgh, but because he profiles in as like a great goal line back, I don't know. People didn't like it last year. He fell a ton just because people were giving him the label of injury prone. Suddenly that label has disappeared this year because he's going as a 3rd round pick in these drafts. So I don't know. I don't really buy it. I like James Conner in the 10th. I don't like James Conner in the 3rd. James Conner in the 3rd, there's so much. Let's go. There's so much. We've been talking about anti-fragility, and James Conner is one of the most fragile running backs in the NFL. One of my friends, we were discussing this a little bit. James Conner had Hodgkin's lymphoma, and that is a form of cancer. So he had to go through chemotherapy, and chemotherapy typically doesn't bode well on your bones and joints. So we had the hypothesis that maybe James Conner can't stay healthy because he has gone through chemotherapy in the past. He proved us wrong last season by staying healthy the entirety of the season and producing RB1 numbers. I don't know if he can do that again, but maybe he does, and I'm just completely wrong. But I think Daryl Williams will still have value. So Daryl Williams has standalone value in best ball because he should profile in as the 2nd running back on the Cardinals. Daryl Williams will take over that Chase Edmonds role. Daryl Williams is a great receiver of the football, and Daryl Williams will have that standalone value. In the scenario where James Conner does go down, obviously I'm not wishing for that to happen, but in that scenario, that's a very likely scenario that I can see. Daryl Williams immediately becomes an RB1. And if Daryl Williams is the starting running back in Week 17, they play the Atlanta Falcons. I want Daryl Williams Week 17 RB1 against the Atlanta Falcons. They play in a dome. Actually, both the Falcons and the Cardinals play in a dome. That's the arbitrage which we're looking for. That's that one unique scenario which we're looking for to shoot us into the upper echelon of best ball drafts. So that is my my soapbox talk on Daryl Williams. Draft Daryl Williams if you can. Okay. I have a lot of Daryl Williams, by the way, and I have a decent amount of exposure to him. I have a decent amount of exposure to Darrell Henderson and Daryl Williams. So we love the Daryls over here. Let's see where we're at. We got 4 running backs. Okay, since we have this like anti-fragile build, we want to be drafting more of these RB2s. Okay. I think these next 2 picks, I'm going to continue to focus on the running back position. How many receivers are I have 7 receivers. Yeah, since we focused on receivers early, we don't need to really touch receivers anymore. Damn, Remo Derek got taken. Okay. We're going to go J.D. McKissick or I don't love B-Rob. Jerick McKinnon. Okay, I can see Chris Evans. Let's see who else is down here. Zamir White, Sony, Ernest Johnson's interesting. I don't like Hassan Haskins. But Kenyon Drake. Kenyon Drake is a slipper. He is falling in these drafts. Let's see who else is down here. Ooh, I like Tyler Beatty. Mike Davis, Snoop Connor. All right, I'm not going to go any further than that. Okay. So, damn, people really hammered the RB position early. Okay, that's okay. We're going to continue to try to find that arbitrage. J.D. McKissick is a great player. As a Washington Commanders fan, I've just watched J.D. McKissick just blossom into this playmaker on the field. Sony got taken. Okay. Actually, let me talk about Sony Michelle real quick. The fact that he goes down here in the 16th round is absurd to me. The Miami backfield should kind of profile in similarly to the San Francisco backfield because Mike McDaniel is now their head coach. In the San Francisco backfield, which types of guys would you typically want? You typically wanted any and all of the San Francisco players because, I mean, they just run the ball so much. A new guy could be starting at running back a different week. So because of that, I think Miami's going to kind of have that similar rotation at running back. Chase Edmonds will start off as the top guy. Chase Edmonds hasn't necessarily been the paragon of good health in the NFL. He's always missed a few games here and there. Chase Edmonds is a great player. Don't get me wrong. I wish I had drafted him in this draft, but I didn't. So Sony Michelle is a guy that I'm typically targeting. But that's because he just goes back here in the 16th round. Like last season, Sony Michelle had like 800 yards rushing. And that's great. That's great. And he's going to go into a scheme that fits his style of running. Sony Michelle is another guy that like we're looking to be grabbing late in these drafts, especially if you're going this zero RB build. Okay, let me talk about J.D. McKissick a little bit. J.D. McKissick is just a game changer. He's a baller when he's on the field. There's been many games where J.D. McKissick has single-handedly won it for us Commanders. So I like to be grabbing J.D. McKissick all the way down here in the 16th round. He always falls this late in fantasy drafts. He's always available at the end of the draft. And he always outperforms his ADP. So I like to bet on guys like J.D. McKissick. Okay. These next three running backs that are on my board. Ooh, okay. Wait 1 second. Let's see. All right, Deshaun just got taken. Do I need to take another receiver? I think it's worth taking another receiver. I mean, my tight ends, my quarterbacks, I don't need another one. I don't have the same bye week, right? 9-6, 6-8. Okay. I'll take a running back in the last round, but I think I want to be taking, like, I'll take the flyer on Will Fuller or maybe AJ Green as well. Arizona. Okay, that's a correlation with Daryl Williams. Yeah, just because AJ Green's on a team already and Will Fuller isn't, I think we'll take AJ Green down here in the 17th round. Yeah, okay. AJ Green is my final receiver that I'm drafting. He should see targets. D-Hop is not going to play the first 6 games. Who's going to be the wide receiver 1 for the Cardinals? I don't know. The fact that I can get AJ Green in the 17th round, who had 92 targets last year from Kyler Murray, they've got some chemistry. AJ Green had a few games where he had those spike weeks. Give me some AJ Green. Maybe even when D-Hop comes back, AJ Green still produces at a decent level. The fact that he's 33 does put me off him a little bit. But we don't have to pay anything to see what he's made of. The only other guy which I was considering was Will Fuller. And that's also because Will Fuller offers that elite upside. It's weird right now that Will Fuller isn't a part of a team. So like, I don't know. Just the fact that I know that AJ Green is tied to Kyler Murray made me prefer him over Will Fuller. But Will Fuller, like the second he goes to a team, he's going to just skyrocket up in ADP. So maybe I should have taken Will Fuller here, just like an absolute flyer. The one thing that came to my mind and turned me off of Will Fuller was the fact that he could never stay healthy. And then he took steroids and he stayed healthy that 1 year and finished as like a top 12 wide receiver, I want to say. And then they found out that he was taking steroids. So he stopped taking steroids and then he kept getting hurt again, which makes me want to believe that Will Fuller can only really stay healthy because he had human growth hormone being pumped into him. Maybe that's just like I'm grasping at straws here. I'm grasping at just like loose ends, but it makes sense to me. So I would like to see a full season of health from Will Fuller without taking HGH before I buy back into him. But yeah, I'll take AJ Green. I know AJ Green isn't exactly an example of clean health either, but the fact that he was healthy last year and maybe he's figured out how to maintain his body a little bit better. I don't know. We'll take him 17th round, lock it in. All right, these last two guys, I'm definitely taking a running back with my last pick. Let me take a look at the board real quick. And Will Fuller's still there, but the fact that I already have 8 wide receivers and I took 3 of them early, I don't need to take the wide receiver position again. I'm going to focus on my 6th running back because I faded the RB position. I only got Breece Hall and A.J. Dillon in the first, 13 rounds. I only took 2 running backs in the first 13 rounds. That's actually kind of insane. But still, if we're doing that, we need to be drafting 6 running backs. Typically, I only take 5 as my max. But if I only take 2 in the first 13, I need to be drafting 6 running backs. So in this case, I know Kai's really likes Zamir White. Kai's actually told me that Zamir White was after he was born, he was only given like 2 weeks to live because he had like some weird birth defect. He overcame that all, and he ended up making it to the NFL as a 4th round draft pick. That is just hats off to Zamir White. What an incredible story. What an incredible player, incredible guy. The fact that he's able to battle through all that adversity. Actually, just because of that, I'm talking myself into Zamir White. I'll be taking Zamir White this draft if he is there. Let's move him to the top of the queue. Coming out of high school, Zamir White was I think he was the only 5-star running back in his class back in 2017, I want to say, maybe 2018. I think he's part of the 2018 high school recruiting class. But Zamir White was the number 1 running back. He scored like 34 touchdowns in his senior season in high school. That's absurd. He averaged like 14 yards a carry. That's absurd. And then he tears his ACL for the second time coming into college. So when you tear your ACL twice, it takes a long time to kind of rebuild that explosiveness, unless you're Adrian Peterson, obviously. But Zamir White was only a high school kid. It probably did a huge crush to his morale, but he stuck with it. He ended up earning the starting job at Georgia, and now he earned a spot on the Las Vegas Raiders. So he just has an incredible story. I love the battle through adversity sort of thing. People are fading Josh Jacobs for some reason. I don't really know why. I mean, Josh McDaniels has come out and said that he doesn't want to rely on Josh Jacobs as like the workhorse running back, which like I guess I understand. I mean, Josh McDaniels comes from the Bill Belichick tree. Bill Belichick typically likes to have like a little bit of a committee at running back. So I get it, but I think Josh Jacobs should still see the majority of the work. But again, even better, because we have all of these San Francisco players. Who does Zamir White play for? That's right. He plays for the Las Vegas Raiders, the team that San Francisco is playing, the game which I am betting on to be an explosive matchup. Maybe by week 17, Josh Jacobs has already played through 2 dislocated shoulders and has to sit out week 17. That immediately puts Zamir White in the RB1 role, assuming that Kenyon Drake continues to play that satellite back role, which I think that he plays very well. So that's why I did want to have Kenyon Drake on this team. But regardless, Zamir White, I see a scenario where, let's say Josh Jacobs does get hurt. Zamir White instantly profiles as the RB1. So in that scenario, we profit. So hopefully that will conclude this draft. And we have just incredible correlation, which I didn't even really intend on. It's a little bit sad to see that our projected points are a little bit low for this one, but whatever. I mean, these projected points don't really mean anything anyways. Typically people with super high projected points, I bet you go check their teams if they have like 3,000 projected points. That typically means that they drafted 3 or 4 quarterbacks because they add the projected points of all of the players on your team. So because I have so many rookies, because again, there's all that uncertainty around rookies. So even the projections don't project rookies to have just insane seasons. That's why like Jamar Chase is going in the 4th round of these redraft leagues, and in this case in best ball leagues. So, okay, that concludes this draft. That concludes this episode. A best ball draft today keeps the doctor away. Let me do one more plug for Underdog Fantasy. You can see that they are a partner of the Undroppables. So actually you can go and sign up using our promo code Undroppables on Underdog Fantasy to earn a 100% first deposit match up to $100. So you can be drafting your own Puppy 3 and Best Ball Mania 3 teams yourself. So let's take a look at our team real quick, just to give a little bit of an analysis to it. Okay. So we have insane week 17 correlation. Trey Lance. Actually, let's look at the full draft. Let's see other people's teams. Can I see the board? Aha. Okay, let's see what the biggest reach was. Biggest reach was Joe Burrow over Justin Herbert. That's insane. Best value, Kyle Pitts. Kyle Pitts in the 4th round is just absurd value. Kyle Pitts is expected to explode. I expect to explode this season. 1,000 yards as a rookie tight end. Who does that these days? Who does that ever? That's just absurd to me. Kyle Pitts is going to have a great year. Could even profile in as like the top target on the Falcons. Mariota, he loves to target the tight end position. So Delaney Walker finished as a top 3 tight end twice when Marcus Mariota was the quarterback over there in Tennessee. I expect Kyle Pitts to absolutely explode this year. We'll see. But okay, that concludes our draft. That concludes our live stream. Thank you guys for joining me, for sticking with me all this way. Truly appreciate it. Very, very grateful that you guys enjoy the show, enjoy the insights that I have to bring to you guys. So really happy that you guys are sticking with me, and thank you. Just want to say thank you. So grateful. Want all of you guys to have a good night, and hopefully you guys do some best ball drafts, and maybe one of us wins it this year. Who knows? Have a good night.